Hello again. Two things disgust me about the people who are campaigning to bring down various statues, such as that of Cecil Rhodes, which stands in Oxford. One is their hypocrisy, and the other is their abysmal ignorance. These unattractive traits combine when we look at a statue in Nigeria. The thumbnail to this video shows a statue of Efunroye Tinubu, an important figure in Nigeria in the 19th century. She was a powerful woman and known as something of a kingmaker. She's a great heroine to modern Nigerians, and the statue stands in Abeokuta in Nigeria. She was also a slave trader. I give a link to an article about her in the description to this video, but viewers shouldn't have any difficulty finding out an awful lot about her. I think even Wikipedia has a piece on her. Not many people realise that even after the British passed a law abolishing the slave trade and making the ownership of slaves illegal, it was a case of business as usual in Africa. Nobody in that continent wanted to stop keeping slaves or to stop buying and selling them. The idea of ending the slave trade was seen as a cranky notion of white Europeans, and it was also regarded as a bit of a cheek for the British to interfere in what was, after all, a traditional practice in most of Africa. Madame Efunroye Tinubu was born in 1810 and became rich through trading in salt, tobacco and slaves. We must remember that nobody in Africa was opposed to the slave trade other than a handful of white people, and there was nothing unusual about the idea of a business person acquiring wealth in this way. The remarkable thing about Efunroye Tinubu was not that she bought and sold slaves, but that she was a woman doing so. It was traditionally a male occupation. She grew very rich by her business activities and began to dabble in politics, helping make one man king of the country. She was for a time exiled from the capital, but managed to make herself even richer and more powerful by selling slaves to Brazilian traders, exchanging them for guns with which she built up a private army. Here are her views on slavery. She's famous in Nigeria today, and nobody cares in the least that she was involved in the slave trade. This is what a popular book published in Nigeria has to say on the subject. On one occasion during her final sojourn in Abeokuta, she was alleged to have sold a young boy into slavery and was accused of it. When arraigned before Ogundipi over the matter, she reportedly explained, "I have a large household and I must feed them well. I need money to do that, that's why." The same book tells us that after the Nigerians signed a treaty with Britain in 1852 to abolish the slave trade, Efunroye Tinubu was furious at this interference in her business, and she told a Brazilian slave trader called Domingo Martinez that she would rather drown the slaves than sell them at a discount. I give the details of the admiring biography from which these quotations are taken in the description to this video. It was published in Nigeria and it sells well. Despite this, there is a statue to Efunroye Tinubu in Abeokuta where she died, and also a square in Lagos is named after her. Not only are the Nigerians not ashamed of this famous slave trader, she's regarded as a national figure, an important figure from their history. How very different is the British attitude to their famous historical figures. The ignorance of those running around in England and wringing their hands about this or that statue is that they have no idea about the history of slavery and think of it only as the guilt of white Europeans and Americans. They have not, most of them, the remotest idea that slavery was flourishing in Africa long before the arrival of the white man, and was still going strong after the British tried to put a stop to it. It was an old African custom. The hypocrisy, which is sickening, is that those left-wing agitators who do know about this do their best to suppress the information and continue to pretend that slavery was a white sin. Consider the television historian David Olusoga, who has had a good deal to say about the statue of Edward Colston which stood in Bristol until it was pulled down last summer. He has expressed his approval for this action in the pages of the Guardian newspaper. Olusoga was of course born and brought up in his early years in Nigeria, and it is impossible to believe that as a Nigerian historian he is unaware of the slavery in the country during the 19th century, nor of the statue of Efunroye Tinubu which is standing there still in Nigeria. Does anybody think that Olusoga will be calling for the destruction of statues in his home country of black women anytime soon? Or do they think it is more likely that he will continue to focus on statues of white men in England? Why is this? Was the British slave trade more wicked than that in Nigeria? Does he know how many slaves died in Africa as a result of the black slave trade? Does he care? Later today I shall have some more to say about the subject of statues, including two in central London which seem to have escaped notice so far.